Crisis is now out in theaters. This is a story about a federal agent who has set up a drug trafficking heist, so to speak, where he wants to bring down these big criminals. But while that is going on, a young mother also is trying to discover what happened to her son. So let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of Crisis? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I want to know. Smash that like button, hit subscribe as well, and let's jump into this review.
Perfect.
Okay, so what did I think of Crisis? Now, how do I say this? How do I put this into words? It's really a film that left me wanting more. I felt like it was missing something and it wasn't finished, and I kind of felt like certain things in this didn't need to be in there. Now, for instance, I'm going to start off with, there are 3 separate subplots throughout this film. And when I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so we've got 3 subplots. We're following these 3 main characters throughout this story. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so they're all going to tie in somehow. Somehow we're going to follow these 3 characters and they're going to wove into one big event, one big story. But that's not what happens. There is one with Gary Oldman's character, who I don't necessarily think that subplot needed to be in this film. I felt like it didn't tie into the other 2. It didn't have any impact on the other 2 subplots. So I feel like this one was just kind of like, it could have been cut and you wouldn't even, you wouldn't feel it. It would do nothing to derail the story or derail any of the characters, because there's actually no real tie-in to what's going on with his character to the other 2 main characters that we're focusing on. So I don't know why that's in there. I mean, it's a cool story on its own, but it just didn't feel like it fit in this story. Because when we move to the other 2 main characters, the federal agent and the mother, they are both on the same path to finding and doing certain things that are going to interwove their stories together and create a crossover. So that worked for me. I think following them 2 was a lot more entertaining than actually following the other story. I think if we can cut out that other story, you can really focus on the other 2 main characters and we can really dive into their characters a bit more. Because I think one of my other big issues is Armie Hammer's character. I wanted to know more about him. They give you little subtle hints here and there about things that are going on with his family, things that he's trying to do and trying to achieve. And I think we could have dived into his psyche a lot more after, like, the pressure he's under, trying to basically snag these drug lords and stop all this. There was so much there that you could have really dived into that I thought was taken away because we're following this other storyline. And that hurt the film for me. I want to know more about his character. His character was interesting. Now we move over to the mother, and I like her story, and another big problem I have is there was a lot of convenience in this film. Like, she finds her son's phone, and voila, somehow in the contacts, his Instagram and email and everything, and address and all that is just straight there. I mean, last time I checked, that's not how my contacts work. So, there's a lot of things like that, and then, like, someone uploads a picture on Instagram. Boom, oh, look, there's a location with the exact address. I can't buy that. I'm sorry. I can't buy that. However, though, I do think the meaning and story behind this is very powerful. And I think that's its strongest part. Is it's dealing with the big, I think it's the oxy, the painkiller drug that everyone is taking, and a lot of people are dying from it right now. Like, it's a big problem in the world right now, and it tackles that. Because I think this is based on true story, like true events and stuff like that. But it tackles this major issue we have regarding these painkillers that are so addictive that people keep taking and taking and taking and taking and taking. And that's where Gary Oldman's character comes in. And his character is all about trying to develop a new drug that doesn't have the addictive stuff, and yet it goes horribly wrong. But it doesn't tie into these other two characters. So it's like another story that is on its own. So that's what I mean by it takes away. But it does deal with some heavy stuff and some serious stuff, which I think needs to be told. That was a strong part. The performances, great. Gary Oldman, I mean, guys, the guy's just an absolute acting god. Like, he's so good in everything he does. He brings it, and I think that's the only reason why I was interested in his stories, because of his performance. And he was bringing it out, and it was brilliant. Armie Hammer, he brings that presence of, like, bro, this guy's serious, man. He looks like a scary dude when he gets mad in his film and stuff like that. And I think the mother, brilliant as well. Absolutely brilliant. I think the performances in this were brilliant. Absolutely had no problem with it. The story was great. The pacing, I thought the pacing was actually decent. There is certain parts where I feel like the story wasn't being pushed, and it was sort of like, well, you could have cut that scene and it would tighten things up. So there is parts that just could have been cut. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was, but it's not a boring film. So the pacing, it keeps moving along. There's just certain parts that you kind of sit in there and you're like, that didn't need to be in there. It has no relevance to the story or pushing the story forward. So you could have cut that. The editing, I think sometimes it's a bit off. We got the voiceover and it like takes a while, and it feels like the other characters are already having a conversation. I want to know what they're saying, but I've got this voiceover over the top of it, and then it cuts. So I think the editing could have been a little bit better. But it's a gorgeous looking film, absolutely gorgeous looking film as well, and overall, it's a decent film. It's not one of the best films, it's not one of the worst films. Like I said, the major strength is the actual story, especially dealing with the drug issue we have regarding painkillers. I thought was very, very strong and very, very good. The performances were great, but there is a lot of issues in this film as well. Some convenience that kind of like, I can't believe that. It's just there as a mechanism to push the story forward, to make these characters meet, and yeah, it just didn't flow with me. There is a few twists and turns as well in this that I didn't expect, so I'll give him that. One of the twists in this was absolutely phenomenal. I didn't expect it. But the ending, I have to get to the ending, because the ending sort of like, especially for Gary Oldman's character, I'm kind of like, so what? And they just give you a little bit of like lines to tell you what's going on and stuff like that. And I'm kind of like, what? Huh? Okay. They don't really dive into it. They just expect me to know and read the text and go, okay, so that's it. So I think the ending, they don't quite stick the landing with the ending. And also, I don't think with Armie Hammer's character and the mother, I don't think they actually I want to see the consequences of the ending with them two really, really bad. I want to see what, moving forward now, how they can deal with certain things with the events that happen. But they don't show us that. So I think that's a weak point as well. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of Crisis? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Smash it down in the comments below. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.